Hey guys, how you doing? We're back with exciting news because we have the running orders for semi-final 1 and semi-final 2 Eurovision 2023 in Liverpool. I'm joined by two other Brits today. Wow, we're probably getting down into British Eurovision spirit. I've got Harry and Jess. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you.
When we get the running orders, you almost get a sense of how close Eurovision is now. We've got our first kind of Eurovision party starting this weekend in Barcelona. And guys, we're going to be heading to Liverpool in like 5 or 6 weeks. It's insane, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like everything feels slightly more real now. Like it's really happening.
Yeah, I mean, now we've got the running orders. We know that the BBC has received all of the plans for the staging at Eurovision. So we can try and guess a few things that might be happening or how crazy one country's staging might be compared to another. But the running orders were revealed tonight on the official Eurovision YouTube channel. And we're going to take you through them now. So, Harry, you're going to take us through semi-final 1.
Yes, so in semi-final 1, up first, kicking off the entire Eurovision contest is Norway. Then we go to Malta, then Serbia, Latvia, Portugal, Ireland. Then closing the first half is Croatia. Opening the second half is Switzerland. Then we go to Israel, Moldova, Sweden, Azerbaijan, Czechia, Netherlands. And closing us off with Crazy and Party, it is Finland.
Woo! And Jess, semi-final 2.
So for semi-final 2, we have Denmark opening the show, followed by Armenia, Romania, Estonia, Belgium, Cyprus, Iceland and Greece closing the first half. And then we go to Poland to open the second half, followed by Slovenia, Georgia, San Marino, Austria, Albania, Lithuania, and then Voyager from Australia closing the semi-finals.
So there you go, guys. We have our running orders. We have to talk about the openers because whenever we're kind of guessing or people are predicting running orders every year, the one song that people are talking about really is which song is going to open the contest. And we have 2 Nordic countries, Norway opening semi-1. We have Denmark opening semi-2. It's not a surprise, Harry, that we've got 2 upbeat numbers. It's traditional that you would open the show with an upbeat number.
No, it's not surprising at all that Norway or Denmark is the opener for each of those. Norway is one of the especially massive favourites this year. And in the last couple of years, Eurovision have really liked to open the entire contest up, if they can, with a massive favourite and a massive, like, almost guaranteed, not certain, but likely qualifier. And Norway is absolutely that this year. We've already seen Alessandra's likely staging from MGP that will be translated to Liverpool. So if that's replicated, great way to open semi-final 1. And with Denmark, they haven't opened a show in a while. I can't actually remember off the top of my head the last time they opened a semi-final. I know they closed one back in 2021. But Reiley is one of the more well-known names, especially this year with his TikTok success. So that might draw people in. And it's a nice, upbeat, positive song. So yeah, very predictable but good openers.
Yeah, I'm probably more surprised about Norway opening as opposed to Denmark. I see Denmark as a really good opener, but I was a bit more surprised about Norway opening. I think, Harry, you called Norway opening.
I called Norway opening, yeah.
Predictions. I didn't think they would. I thought they would have gone with maybe someone like Malta, who's actually been drawn into the dreaded second place slot. But I mean, Norway, it's an absolutely banging tune. She's got great staging. We're not going to stray from the staging at MGP, really, are we? We're going to be seeing the same thing on stage when it comes to Eurovision. I doubt we're going to be seeing anything different. But yeah, I mean, you want a song that's going to grab people's attention, make them instantly engaged with the show and want to watch the whole thing, and hopefully pick up their phone at the end and vote, or go onto the app, or however we're going to be voting this year. We have to talk about second place because we have got Malta in second place, and as you know, I have a real soft spot for Malta this year. Second place in the semi-final, though, isn't necessarily the cursed position that we see it as being in the final. Jess, do you think this is going to harm Malta's chances of qualifying? Because I still have this down as potential qualifier, although I think they've been done dirty with spot 2.
Yeah, I could easily see them qualifying from the semi, because even though they are in the supposed cursed position, there's obviously a lot less countries in that semi-final, only 15. So I don't think it would make as much difference compared to a 26-country final. But in general, I think Malta's song is standout enough to qualify. It's something very upbeat and funky. You know, it's obviously different from a lot of the stuff we have in semi-final one, and I think it's going to work to their advantage. And I see them as an easy qualifier.
Do you think it's strange though that they're following a banger like Norway, because you've got two really upbeat numbers?
Because then also afterwards you have Serbia, which is very upbeat as well. And my only conclusion was that there was just too many upbeat songs, so they had no choice but to put all of them two together.
Harry, your thoughts on Malta's second place?
Well, first of all, it was another one that I correctly predicted, Malta coming in second. I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching the
Harry,
videos,
I'm going to switch you off in a minute. Harry's head's going to become too big for the screen.
Well, here's the thing, Andy. When I was watching the video and I got the first two right, I was like, "Oh, come on, let's go the full house. Let's get them all right." Sadly, as soon as Serbia came on, I was like, "And I'm wrong." No, but with Malta, I think I sort of took inspiration from last year's running orders in Turin, where they like to have a not complete banger, but like a fun, upbeat song to keep the momentum going. They did it with Latvia, Israel, and even in the final with Romania last year. Malta seemed to fit that bill, which is why I can understand why they put it in slot 2. Also, Malta hasn't had like terrible running orders, so it was about time they had to put someone that hadn't had great running order, that had good running orders into slot 2. I'm a little bit less confident that it would help Malta's chances. I think, well, as much as you say this slot 2 isn't the death slot, it has been this year 6 years since the last song from slot 2 qualified for the final, that being Austria back in 2017.
No.
Oh, Harry, you're really
Don't say that.
And look, I'm sorry, but it was also sandwiched between two quite big fan favourites in Norway and Serbia, who are fairly likely to qualify. And it's televote only as well. So the running order does have, I think, a little bit more impact and influence on the results. Not a massive amount, but like it does hinder them slightly. So I don't think Malta are like a complete dead out. I don't think any of the songs from semi-final 1 are, to be honest. But I wouldn't put money on them qualifying.
Oh. I mean, looking at the running order, I mean, you know, we can talk about the closing song as well. Käärijä from Finland. I mean, we all know that's going to qualify. So literally, you could put him in any position and he would go through. But in terms of it closing the show, I think it's a perfect bit, really. And it's one of those performances that everyone is going to be waiting for. It's the type of song that's going to get a lot of kind of press coverage, media attention before the show. So people are going to be waiting to see this. So that makes perfect sense. I feel a little bit sorry for. Well, I was going to say I feel a little bit sorry for the Netherlands having to come before, but at least they don't have to follow him. But I think anyone that would follow Finland in the semi-final would feel like they've been hard done by. Czechia as well in 13th spot. I mean, this is another one of the fan favourites. We know that We Are Domi performed last, I think, in the semi-final last year and went through to the final. Czechia sandwiched between the Netherlands and Azerbaijan, for me, makes it even more of a surefire qualifier this year.
For me too, because I think it's going to help to make it stand out even more than it already does, because there's two kind of more slower tempo songs, ballads surrounding it, and they're just totally not anything similar to Czechia in terms of like the style and the genre. So I would say I'm confident that Czechia is going to qualify.
Yeah, and actually I've just noticed that on the Eurovision.tv website they're actually being called Czechia now rather than Czech Republic. So I think we can go by that name. Any songs that you feel have been disadvantaged from semi-final 1?
I think Azerbaijan have, but I mean, anyone that was going to go after Loreen was going to have an uphill battle. But I feel bad saying this. If I had to put any song that had to go after Loreen and Sweden, assuming she wasn't going to close, I think Azerbaijan is the less harmful, because I think out of all the songs in the second half, that was going to have the least amount of chance to qualify anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that we're going to have a break after Sweden, because obviously we don't know. I mean, we've heard these rumours about the kind of staging concept from Melfest being too heavy for the Liverpool stage, but I don't believe we've had any confirmation of that, or whether we're going to be going with the same. I'm assuming we'll be going with the same staging from Melfest. So there will be kind of big props to dismantle or move off the stage. So I'm assuming that we're going to have a break after Sweden anyway. So, you know, maybe that will help Azerbaijan a little bit. I'm assuming that we're probably also going to have a break after Moldova to enable them to set up for Sweden as well. Similarly to what happened, I think, with Sam Ryder in the final.
Yeah.
I think there was a gap before and a gap after.
Yeah.
Croatia is kind of another one of the songs that people are talking about as being a qualifier, not necessarily one of the fan favourites. However, one that people have been saying will potentially go through. I mean, is this another song where you could have really put them anywhere and it would draw that much attention that it wouldn't really harm their chances?
I don't think anywhere. I think if this was like next to Serbia, for example, that might harm its chances. Look, I've made no secret of my feelings toward Croatia in any show I've been on. Let's just say I'm not a fan of it, but I think this is a good spot for Croatia, especially between Ireland and Switzerland. Very conventional pop sounds. I will say, one thing that did confuse me a little bit was Croatia and Switzerland back to back, only because it is the only two war-ish themed songs back to back, which could definitely harm Switzerland's chances out of the two. In terms of Croatia's qualifying chances, they've definitely been helped here by the slot 7 closing at the half. I still don't think it's a dead certainty, or like it's as likely as people saying, only because of how Western the countries are in this semi-final. There isn't that much guaranteed points for this in terms of like neighbor voting. There's Serbia, but I'm not sure that's about it. So they've been helped by the chances. I think their staging will be absolutely bonkers, which is probably why they're that late in the running order. I don't know. And I don't, hear me out. It might be slightly controversial, but that's just my thoughts. But yeah, the running order has helped them out. I think in this sense.
So let's. Oh, Jess.
No, I was just agreeing with Harry.
So let's move on to semi-final 2, and let's talk about the death slot. Again, another surprise for me. Armenia in spot 2.
Did not see that coming at all.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think anyone did.
No one had this slot 2 in their predictions.
It's an interesting choice, you know, because the song, I think, does have a lot of fans within the Eurovision community, and a lot of people are predicting it to do well. I think Harry mentioned to me before, it's quite high up in the odds for the semi-final. So it kind of makes me wonder why they've decided to put it so early on. I am not 100% convinced it's going to qualify, mostly because of the running order, and I don't think it's maybe the strongest song, but it would be nice to be proven wrong, even if it's by Harry and Andy.
Well, Harry, do you think this could have something to do with the staging plans?
If so, I don't get it. Because in my opinion and my thoughts were, they obviously couldn't necessarily 100% replicate what was on the music video, but the music video looks so ambitious and expensive, and it makes very little sense that they've put this in slot 2. What I will say is, it is between Denmark and Romania, who aren't necessarily going to have a lot of props, at least on paper. We don't know for sure, but there's a chance they might not. So maybe this was a spot that they could put Armenia in, that had enough props where you can move around and have it stand out enough. I am going to sort of contradict myself after what I said about Malta and their chances being lower. I reckon that because Armenia's in slot 2, this will be the first year since 2017 where a slot 2 song qualifies. Because despite what Jess says, I love this song so much. I think it's amazing, and there's and also in a slightly weaker semi-final, which what semi-final 2 is, I completely understand why Armenia currently is, I believe, second in the odds to qualify. It might drop a little bit now, their running order, but it won't drop that far in my opinion. There's so much promise here. Do we know what Brunette's vocals are like? Maybe. No, we don't know that for sure, but we don't know that with a lot of internal artists. So I'm shocked that this is in slot 2. I'd imagine the many Armenian fans that follow Eurovision and support Brunette a lot are not best pleased by this running order, but I wouldn't worry too much. I'd still be incredibly shocked if Armenia didn't qualify.
Same, I think. And I'm also going to maybe surprise people and say I'm also going to be surprised if Belgium don't qualify.
It could.
You know, when the Belgian song was first selected, I didn't think it really stood much of a chance of qualifying, even though we didn't have most of the songs, because I didn't see it as a very strong song. But after hearing like the snippets of every song in the semi-final in the complete running order, it actually stands out quite a lot. And I think this could be a surprise like song to do very well in Eurovision.
Yeah, I actually think the same. And Belgium has done this before. I'm thinking back to what's her name, Laura Tesoro.
Oh yeah, what's the Pasha?
Yeah, and that was another song that I think people weren't really rating so much until they saw it performed live. And I actually think that the spot that Belgium have got in the semi-final is really good for them. They're following Estonia, which is obviously one of the slower songs this year, and then we go into kind of a power ballad following with Cyprus. So I think it is really going to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the vocal's going to be good. The performance is going to be top notch because the guy can perform. He's got these fantastic backing vocalists as well. And I actually think this is just like a little slice of happy feel good that people are going to really resonate to, especially seeing it sandwiched between those two songs. So there you go. That's my opinion now on Belgium. It's a grower, not a shower. Is what I will say, and we all love those.
I would agree.
Greece is another one that I would like to talk about. Harry, you obviously spoke to Victor last week, I think it was.
It was last week, yes.
If you haven't watched that interview, make sure you watch it on our channel. What a lovely guy, first of all.
Amazing guy.
But this is another song that I think people are sleeping on. I think we're going to qualify.
It's in that mix. It's there's like with semi-final 2. I can't wait to actually sit down and make my qualifying list, or at least in my initial one, because there's like 5-6 songs I'm fairly confident, or like 100%. But then there's like 8 which I'm like, any of these could fill the final spots. I think Greece is in that mix. I don't think it's a certainty. And what I would say is, if you go out to watch the interview, one thing that Victor does allude to is the staging for this entry is very ambitious. There's something in there which they had to confirm. Like Victor was in the just after doing rehearsals when he spoke to me, and he was saying that they had to confirm recently that they were able to do what they want to do. So he definitely intrigued me. Obviously, Victor is the person performing this. He is going to sell the hell out of this, as any Eurovision artist would. So maybe take with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, there's surely a reason they're closing the semi-final half. Like, Greece have also got good track record with staging. They know how to stage a song well. And yeah, this isn't the most popular song amongst the fandom, but there is definitely something in this which I feel could qualify for the final.
I will say, closing the first semi-final half, there isn't necessarily a break between this and the next song. So I don't think we can look at it in the same way that we would as a song that's closing the show. But yeah, I mean, I loved finding out more about him in your chat with him, Harry, and I've been listening to the song a lot more. And I have to say, I'm surprised that more people are warming to this song, and I think it will be a surprise when it comes to qualification. We can't forget as well that we've got the automatic 12 points from Cyprus as well. Jess, let's go to the other end of the show, and we have Australia closing.
Again, this is not something that I saw coming. I don't know kind of the consensus with the fandom in general, but I am surprised by this. Well, just purely because I didn't see it closing the show. But kind of the more I think about it, the more I think, well, actually, it is more of an up-tempo song. and especially in the chorus, it's got a nice kind of catchy melody. And so kind of because it is so out there, and they're probably going to have like a big epic show on stage, I guess for those reasons it makes sense. But I personally wouldn't have put that to close the semi.
Harry, you're a big fan of this one.
Well, I'm also half Australian as well, so the inner Australian. Yeah, my dad's from Australia.
Oh, you knew that?
I swear I've told everyone this, but anyway, for me, when trying to work out who was going to close semi-final 2, because there were 3 like bands in there, I was fairly certain it was going to be one of those. And initially, I had Slovenia because, let's be honest, it was never going to be San Marino. But Australia, it was the other one which I was looking at. It's full of energy. It feels like the kind of song which is going to do so much better live. And maybe this is partly cynical of me, but I reckon this has something to do with Australia's Eurovision contract. I reckon the organisers have gone, oh, you're maybe potentially thinking about not returning next year? Well, let's make it a bit more likely you're going to get to the final, so you feel a bit better about the contest. But Voyager is still a great band. Despite what the overall consensus is in the Eurovision community, I love this song. I think it's amazing, and I was fairly certain this was going to qualify before. I'm even more certain it's getting to the final now. Yeah,
me too. And I mean, obviously, I love it because it's kind of 80s as well, and I love anything 80s. But I'm hoping that they're going last because they're going to have to spend all that time firing up the pyro, and I want to see pyro coming out of guitars with Australia.
Yes, that has to happen.
Whatever that keyboard guitar thing, what are those things called? I just imagine like lots of pyro, and but they're going to be all over the place. I'm really looking forward to this performance, and yes, I have it down as a qualifier. We also have to talk about Austria, probably the biggest favourite, I would say, in this semi-final. Potential to win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's number 1 in the odds currently for semi-final 2, and I believe it. And it's slot 13. It's a good slot for Austria. I think this is one of those where it's like put them anywhere, they're probably qualifying. But it definitely haven't been harmed by it. I do feel bad for San Marino. It is interesting to see that this being next to Albania in the running order, because obviously Albania's staging will be done by Sasha Jean-Baptiste, so it'll be probably fairly ambitious. So them 2 back-to-back, I know styling-wise it works, but 2 potentially ambitious stagings will be interesting to see. But in terms of Austria itself, it's a fun song that breaks up the half in particular, gets people off their feet, moving, dancing. Which is probably what you need around the 13th slot to just make sure everyone is nice and awake for the last stages. And I definitely see this as as long as the vocals are fine, which they're going to be performing a lot of pre-parties. We'll start to get a sense of those very soon. I see no issues with Austria.
Yeah, I'm the same.
With Sasha Jean-Baptiste, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be getting props, so her staging can be very minimalistic as well. And she does a lot of work with kind of screens and different lighting concepts. I can't imagine what type of props we would get with Albania. So I mean, Austria, I think wherever you put them, I actually pictured Austria as being a show closer. And I have to say that Austria contains one of my girl crushes this year. I don't know whether it is Taya or Selena.
I was going to say, which one?
The blonde one is my kind of girl crush.
I believe that's Selena, but I don't confirm.
Is that Selena?
Don't quote me. Don't quote me, but I believe it's Selena.
But yeah, for me, this is probably the song that I'm, apart from the UK, in the final, because I'm obviously part of a rule biased about that one. But this is probably one of the ones that I'm most excited about seeing how they stage it. So yeah, really excited about that. Also, maybe expecting something kind of epic from Georgia in terms of staging to fit the song. So we could be seeing a break between Slovenia and Georgia, maybe. Obviously, Slovenia is pretty much just going to be the band on stage, I would assume. So that would then give them time to set up kind of backstage for any props that Georgia may be using. Any other songs that you want to call out from semi-final 2? I'll say that as a no.
Maybe. I'm trying to think the order.
I think Lithuania is a nice song to
Yes.
almost close the semi, and it's a nice contrast because Albania is kind of more up tempo, as is Australia, and it's nice to have like a palate cleanser in the middle.
Yeah, I think.
Where'd you pull these phrases from sometimes?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Lithuania's odds have definitely been boosted by their position in the running order.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to stand out actually. It's going to stand out in that half of the semi-final because you've not really got anything else like it. We know vocally she can perform again. One that is, dare I say, elevated by the backing vocalist as well, similar to Belgium. So I think people are really going to warm to that one. Let's talk about San Marino as well, just because no one ever does.
There is a reason to be blunt, Andy. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
Look, okay, here's the thing, and I'm being incredibly harsh here, but I think 25% or however much percent San Marino's qualifying odds are at this stage is far too high. This is the first song ever where I've been like, this has zero chance of qualifying. I'm sorry. It's even more now. It's almost in negative because it's been put between Georgia and Austria, two of the fan favorites in the semi-final. San Marino barely qualify with good songs. They only came 9th with Adrenalina. I know both of you, especially Andy, you're still heartbroken by last year's result. And yeah, I'm sorry, but this is much worse. It's not even like a guilty pleasure for anyone. It's just overall considered bad, and I know there's a revamp, so hey, maybe the revamp will make this the best song in semi-final 2, but I'm not holding my breath, and this is a potential for last place. There is no world I see this qualifying, sadly.
Very, very nicely and gently done, Harry.
But then again, if Serhat can qualify, there's hope for us all.
But
yeah, maybe they just need to bring back the ball.
That's the problem, Jess, though, because Serhat with Say No was fun and a guilty pleasure. This isn't.
But yeah,
for those of you out there that do like San Marino, just ignore Harry.
I've seen my Eurovision scoreboard. There ain't many.
But guys, that is what we think of the running order. But we would love to know what you think. Any countries that are kind of opening, closing that you're surprised about? Are you surprised about the number 2 slots? Malta and Armenia going to qualify and kind of break that curse that we think about every year when it comes to slot 2. What are your favourite songs? Drop us a comment down below and let us know. Otherwise, follow us on all of our socials. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so that you can catch up with all of our videos. We're going to be at the pre-parties from this weekend, so lots more content and interviews coming up, and also check us out on Spotify, catch the latest episode of the Eurovox podcast. But Harry, thank you. Jess, thank you. Until next video, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.